At the outset, I submit the most reverential pronouns at the lotus feet of His Holiness, Dr. Sri Sri Shivakumara Mahaswamigalu, Revered President Sri Siddhaganga Education Society, and Sri Siddhalinga Swamigalu, President Sri Siddhaganga Mant. Distinguished guests, respected director, principal, deans, HODs of various departments, professors, participants, persons from media, my dear colleagues and students and friends. May I now request Honorable Chief Guest of today's morning function and dignitaries to grace their presence on the dais. Sir, please. As a tradition, we begin this function by seeking the blessings of God. I invite Ms. Divya Rani PM and Vinay, 7th semester, for the invocation. Now, I request our beloved principal, Dr. Shivakumara, to welcome the gathering.
Good morning to all of you, dignitaries on the dais and friends of the dais. At the outset, I express our profound gratitude to the Department of IT, BT and Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka for selecting our institution for establishing the New Age Incubation Center in ICT. Innovation is the buzzword of today. Innovation is the conversion of knowledge and ideas into new products and services. Engineering education offers enormous opportunities for promoting creativity and innovation. Fostering a culture of innovation among students would require training in critical thinking, encouraging to ask inconvenient questions in classrooms, thinking out of the box, looking at problem from multiple points of view, generating ideas and solutions, providing access to experimentation and other institutional facilities after normal working hours, frequent brainstorming among themselves, with or without the guidance of a teacher. Good creative and innovation skills would definitely lead to product development, which encourages the students to take up entrepreneurship. This would facilitate students to become job providers instead of job seekers. To nurture innovation, the Department of IT, BT and Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka has started incubation centers in engineering colleges. Hackathons are also arranged with an objective of bringing creative minds together and motivating them to come up with new ideas which can be commercialized. I thank the Department of IT, BT, Government of Karnataka for providing us the opportunity to host the hackathon in our institution, in which the students of 4 engineering colleges, including SIT, are participating. Mrs. Tanushree Deva Sharma, Chairman, New Age Incubation Network, Director ITBT, Chairman, ICT Skills Development Society, Managing Director, KBITS, Karnataka, is busy with meeting the ITBT Minister, therefore she could not make it to come over here and inaugurate our incubation center and also the inauguration of this hackathon. In Tanushree Dev Sharma's place, I request Sridhar Mehta to inaugurate our incubation center. When we thought of inviting a chief guest who is also a successful entrepreneur, the name immediately struck to our mind was that of Sri T.M. Swami, who is the member board of our management and also the member of our governing council. He is the right person to be the chief guest for this hackathon because he has converted his project of BTech Chemical Engineering into a commercial product. He is running an industry producing activated carbon which is being exported. It gives me great pleasure in extending a very warm welcome to Sri T.M. Swami, who has agreed to be the chief guest for this hackathon. Dr. A. Maulishri, Central Coordinator, New Age Incubation Network and CEO, ICT Skills Development Society, is very dynamic and has guided us meticulously to conduct this hackathon. It gives me immense pleasure to extend a very hearty welcome to Dr. Maulishri. Dr. Sridhar Mehta, Founder and Managing Director, Next Wealth, has kindly accepted our invitation to be the guest of honor and to deliver a motivating talk to the budding innovators. I have great pleasure in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Sridhar Mehta. It gives me immense pleasure to extend a very hearty welcome to Dr. M.N. Chanvasappa, our respected director, who is the guiding force for all our activities and who has agreed to preside over this inaugural function. I extend a warm welcome to A. Vijayarajan, Founder CTO, Inaxel, and Rajendra Bhatt, Chief Knowledge Officer, who have come here as resource persons. It is with pleasure I extend a very cordial welcome to the coordinators and budding innovators participating in this hackathon. I extend a very warm welcome to my esteemed colleagues and invitees present here. Thank you all.
Light leads to brightness and brightness leads the way. I would kindly request Honorable Chief Guest and other delegates to inaugurate the New Age Incubation Center and Hackathon by lighting the lamp. A. Maulishri, CEO, ICT Skills Development Society, Department of IT, BT and SMT, Government of Karnataka.
One and all, it's my privilege to introduce you to Dr. Maulishri, Central Coordinator, New Age Incubation Network, CEO, ICT Skills Development Society, Department of ITBT, Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka. Dr. Maulishri, she completed her PhD from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore in Neurophysiology. She did her postdoctoral work at Nagoya University, Japan, University of Toronto, Canada. She returned to India in 2005 and she was research associate at IASC, and she also was with PESIT as professor, where she was promoted to head and also a key resource person. She started working with Government of Karnataka in designing and implementing the Biotech Finishing School (BTFS) 2007 onwards. She wrote fellowship grant of rupees 7.12 crores. In 2008, she was with University of Calgary, Faculty of Medicine, and she was adjunct professor till date. She joined government full-time in 2012 onwards. In 2013, she was posted to SMT, that is Science and Technology Wing, in Biospark program. She conceived, designed and implemented Karnataka's initiative on technology for the elderly, that is KITE, which got a funding of rupees 3.5 crore from Government of India. In 2014, she was posted at KBITS. She is Head of Innovation and Skills Development, during which she has undergone these projects. Skill Development in ESDM section. She has written and awarded a grant of rupees 14.3 crore from Government of India in July 2014. The second project was New Age Incubation Network. Also, she has been assigned the project of establishing IIIT at Harvard. She has 15 publications to her credit. Madam, we are really indeed honored to have you with us. Hearty welcome to you once again. Thank you.
May I now request Dr. A. Maulishri to address the gathering.
So, respected dignitaries of the dais and dear students, faculty coordinators, I am expecting to see colleges, all 4 colleges right now in the media hall. Please tell me if Mysore is here. Mysore is not here. So Shimoga is here? Very good. We have met earlier, right? Nitte is here? And SIT has to be here. Very good. Do you all understand why you are here today? Yes, no? A silence does not mean anything. You have to say yes or no? Yes. Okay, very good. So this exercise today, the hackathon, actually is a misnomer. If you look at the word hackathon, it means aggressive programming for 2 days and end of which you come up with a company. Right? We use the word hackathon just as a symbolic boot camp which you are running between today and tomorrow, and I thank Mr. Raj, who is our resource person from NEN, to be hand-holding you. You will actually learn how to convert an idea into business. When we walk on road and we get frustrated with traffic or we get frustrated with bad condition of road, we say someone has to address it, right? Or any problem. Let's say you go to your library and you have to wait for hours together to get a book from your book bank. You miss classes, you miss attendance. These pain points can actually convert into an idea which converts into a product which actually leads to a real entrepreneur in you. These two are just an examples what Mr. Raj is going to teach you over 2 days. Identify pain points, convert them into a workable solution and extend it to others as well for a certain cost which comes to you as the price of your effort which you put in to convert that idea into a product. Okay? So I am supposed to tell you stories so far. So far we have conducted 2 hackathons, one in Bagalkot and the second one in Dharwad, which finished day before yesterday evening. Both these were very exciting events. Students like you, 30 students from other colleges have congregated, went through this, got an idea, converted it into a presentation, presented it to the jury, got feedback. Now feedback session is probably the worst session that one should ever face, because you are completely stripped of all your ego. Okay? You think that the solution and idea that I have designed is the best. Because see, this is my idea, and who loves it the most? I love it the most. You are unable to see the negatives in that. So the feedback session that you will have here, you will actually be, sometimes it also appears a little rude that how can he say like that? So I would request all of you to take this criticism in a very objective manner. Same is true with your teachers. When they scold you or they point out your problems, it is not because it's a problem with you. It's just to handhold and guide you in your thinking. So story so far has been, there have been more than 1,100 participation in the pre-hackathon event, and more than 312 ideas have been presented in 3 hackathons. In the 2 hackathons, 30 students each. What happens when you go back to your college? You are a set of selected 30 students who are coming here to attend a hackathon. Does not mean that only you will participate in the final project. Also, those who could not come here but have an idea can submit the proposals through your college monitoring committee for being considered for funding. I think those detailed guidelines we will circulate to your college coordinators, which will reach you. I just want you to listen to one more thing that I have to say. Tomorrow evening we will have a closing session, and that session I consider more important than this session today. This is just a function to welcome you, but that session is going to be a learning session for us. We would want to know what went right with you and what is it that you would want to be changed. Okay? So please attend these 2 days very critically, very carefully, and give your opinion and feedback tomorrow evening. I will talk to you again tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Alright? Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring words and a brief introduction of Hackathon. Now, I request Professor Basurajaya, Dean Planning and Development, to introduce our guest, Dr. Sridhar Mitta, Founder and Managing Director, Next Wealth, and member, KAG 2020 Group.
Introduce the distinguished guest of this morning, Dr. Sridhar Mitta. Friends, Dr. Sridhar Mitta did his MTech from one of the premier institutions of the country, that is IIT Kharagpur, and then he moved on to US, did his MS and PhD from Oklahoma State University, and later the university has inducted him into its CEAT Hall of Fame in the year 2009. He came back to India. He began his career with the Electronics Corporation of India Limited. For over 40 years, he has managed research and development in IT industry. He is a founder and managing director of E4E India. He is with Wipro IT business since its inception in the year 1980. So naturally, he has played a vital role in bringing Wipro to the present status. He played a key role as Chief Technology Officer in Wipro, achieving technology leadership, and started global delivery of outsourced product development services. Dr. Mitta is also founded eThink, an intellectual property design and licensing startup based in Silicon Valley. Dr. Mitta was the president of Indus Entrepreneurs, that is TIE, Bangalore chapter for over 4 years, and later elected to Board of Trustees of TIE Global. Dr. Sridhar Mitta is now Managing Director of an IT services company, Next Wealth Entrepreneurs Private Limited, whose promise is social upliftment through entrepreneurship. Next Wealth is further distributed delivery model of having a large number of small delivery centers spread across small towns in strong partnership with qualified entrepreneurs. This results in employment to graduates, especially girls, close to home, thus reversing their migration to cities. Once again, hearty welcome to you, sir.
Dr. Sridhar Mitta to address the gathering.
Good morning, friends. It gives me a great pleasure to be amongst you this morning because entrepreneurship is close to my heart. I hail from a small town in Andhra Pradesh called Tumkur, and I think most of you are coming from small towns. Typically, after graduation, people don't know what to do, and the only thing is to migrate to a city, nearby city, whether it is Chennai or Bangalore or Hyderabad, and try to do something. Take additional training, go for classes, hang around, whatever possible you do it. But in the process, certain section of students or graduates are not participating, especially girls, because of gender reasons. Parents don't allow, even though they have good credentials, and people with disabilities who are very poor, single child families, and these people stay in their own small towns or villages and forget about the graduation, and that's how it happens. But on the other hand, what IT industry has demonstrated is that work can move from one country to another country where people are there. So how did the IT industry start? There was no IT industry 25 years ago. Okay. I was the first employee of Wipro, and for first 10 years, our objective was to design computers for the Indian needs. While doing this one, something funny happened. That is internet. Internet has just moved from the research laboratories into some kind of a commercial usage. So at that time, the impact of internet is not known to many people. So as a CTO of Wipro, I felt that internet is essential for our R&D. But there are no internet service providers in India. So the only way to get internet is to have a dedicated line from Bangalore to New York, which costs a lot of money, and then subscribe to an internet service provider. But as CTO, I felt it's required, and then got it done in our laboratory, R&D lab. Fortunately, because people didn't get one. So one day I received a mail from an unknown person called John D. Graves from San Diego, California in US, stating that he found my email ID from some journal, and he read it. So he wanted to know from me, please give me email IDs of all programmers in India. So I was curious, who is this guy, why is he asking me all these things? So I replied back saying that, who are you, why do you need this information? This was somewhere in 1992 or 93 timeframe. So he said, I am a multimedia software developer. I develop software for education. We don't have too many programmers in San Diego. Even if they are available, they are expensive. So I want to use Indian programmers using internet. The word using internet caught my attention. I knew internet as a communication media. You can send mails, receive mails. I saw internet as a storage medium. We can store a lot of documents. Or even as a computing medium, because we can connect many computers and do parallel processing. But using computers for software development was kind of a trigger for me. So So I told John, your idea is great. So unfortunately, there are a lot of programmers in India, I can't give email IDs. And your idea of doing software development for you from India is interesting. And very few people have access to PCs and internet because they're expensive. But we have it in our Wipro R&D. So we'd like to do a project, a pilot project. So then he defined a project, which is essentially an enhancement to Windows 3, which was the multimedia version of Windows at that time. So I picked up a 2-3-year-old experienced person from the lab and asked him to do this project on one condition. No telephone, no fax, no physical kind of a scenario. Use internet to do the project. If you can't do it, abandon the project. Because I want to see the impact of internet. And started reading about internet and its implications. So after 3 months, both have agreed that the project had been completed. And then a month later, John conveyed that he has sold this software on internet, several copies, and he wanted to send a check to us. So which address should he send? So that made me think. So here is a person who is in Bangalore, India, giving shape to an idea of a person who is in San Diego, California, and US. They interact through internet, they create a product, they sell the product using internet, and he is transferring money. What happened to customs? What happened to immigration? What happened to currency controls? What happened to technology controls? These are all the things which were inhibiting free flow of information, technology, money, ideas, all those things is going away. So then I started thinking what is happening. See, at one side the idea is coming through internet, some solution is going away, but for the internet it's bits and bytes. It is our interpretation of bits and bytes which is creating value, cutting across the geographies. So it dawned on me, distance equal to 0. Okay. If distance is equal to 0, projects can move, ideas can move, work can move. So that is the birth of global R&D in Wipro, which was earlier R&D for products within India, to a global R&D which develops products for global companies. Okay. So if distance equal to 0 between US and India or Bangalore, why should it be high between Bangalore and Tumkur? Isn't it? Why should you go to Bangalore to do work? Why do you need a job in Bangalore to do work, to contribute? See, today the IT industry is $100 billion industry. From 0 to $100 billion happened in 25 years. There is no other industry, either in India or elsewhere, which has moved so fast in an advanced technology area. Okay, so now, about 2 years ago, we are a $100 billion industry. It has capacity to go to $500 billion in next so many years. But the problem is, we don't have enough people or engineers. Is it an acceptable proportion in a country of 1.2 billion population to say that people is going to be the bottleneck for the industry? Is not acceptable. What is the problem? The problem is not people, the problem is trained people available with the right skills at the right place at the right time. So, when I retired from Wipro, I thought it will be a good idea for people living in small towns where there is bandwidth available to provide facilities so that they can do the same type of work the same environment, get similar salaries without moving to a city. So that was the result of my new company, Next Wealth Entrepreneurs. Started 3 years ago. We have 3 centers. One in Tamil Nadu, between Salem and Erode, place called Mallasamudram. One in Karnataka, place called Amargod, between Hubli and Dharwad. One in Andhra Pradesh, in Chittoor. So we have about 500 people employed in these centers. And they are doing excellent work, better than cities, for companies like Walmart, Yahoo, Google, and these kind of companies. It only proves that the people in small towns are more eager, more energetic to prove that they can do as good as people in Bangalore, if not better. The same idea was taken by the government of Karnataka and came up with several ideas. The first one was setting up of rural BPOs in Karnataka. So far, the government has selected 30 entrepreneurs who are coming from small towns or rural places to set up BPOs, and they help them with financial support. As part of KAG, Karnataka Information Group, which was constituted by the previous government, to find out why is that Karnataka losing the #1 position. It has not lost, but it is no more a unique one. There are so many others nearby. So how do we create situation in the state so that we reclaim our #1 situation? The committee has come up with several suggestions. So to do the IT, not just IT, we have to have infrastructure, we have to have communication, we have to have education, we have to have clean water or whatever the other things which are required. As part of that, education was the important thing. And we said that there are so many engineering colleges in the tier 2, 3 towns. They are good, but they need to be supported, they need to be encouraged, so that we can identify the right people, at least show some seeds of entrepreneurship, and say that there is life beyond cities. That's how the incubation concept has come in. It's a continuous 3-year program for which funds have been allocated by the government, and Dr. Maulishi is spearheading to make this into a reality. So we are all people who give suggestions, but on ground level, it is she who is going to take this one. But many people may ask, why should he become an entrepreneur? Or is it not easy to go and find a job? A couple of years back, I was invited to one of the city colleges to give a talk, and they said 200 students will be attending that. So next day when I went there were about 50 students. So the principal was very apologetic, saying, "Sorry sir, only 50 are there." No, it doesn't matter, I said. Okay. The problem is last 2 days Wipro and Infosys came and they made offers. Okay. So I said, I'm extremely happy that only 50 has come, because entrepreneurship is not people who don't get jobs. So if you don't get a job, you become an entrepreneur. It's typically what happens in some colleges. People graduate, if you don't get a job, you become masters, then you do PhD, then you do postdoc, and retire there. So entrepreneurship is a method by which you create energy, you create jobs, you create technology, you create innovation. Everybody is not an entrepreneur in the world. Typically, there are 3 to 4% of people are entrepreneurs. In a given country or a given state or a given region, maybe more or less, whatever it is. Silicon Valley has one of the highest concentration of entrepreneurs, because they are able to attract best brains from all over the world within a small geography. The other place where the entrepreneurship number quotient is very high is Nigeria, because they use their intelligence, innovation in wrong methods. Okay, so a lot of hacking and all these things are done from that place. So coming back, entrepreneurs create value. So person has to believe, self-believe, that I can do it, I will do it, I will perceive, I will continue to do amongst even at the failure. See, one of the reasons of success of Silicon Valley is the failure of a company or entrepreneur is not looked down upon, but rewarded. So if I go and ask for a venture capitalist for investment, and I say that this is my first company, and Vijayarajan goes and says, no, I failed in 2 companies, now I want to start my third, he will be preferred than me, because he knows how not to do things. Whereas in India, once there's small failure, people look down upon, because of which people refuse to take risks. The problem starts much earlier. If you look at in the early, when you go to school, the teacher teaches and you can't do anything differently. In the house, your father will say, do this way, do that way, nothing else. So we are being grown up to do what people say us to do rather than what we want to do or we can do. We don't want to experiment and fail. But that's what is changing now. The fact that so many colleges have been selected and so many people are coming forward, essentially try out saying that, yeah, I have an idea. We don't know how good, bad it is. The idea, it's not important. But the fact that you have an idea, you are willing to try, is important. And the other point that Maulishi mentioned is every problem is an opportunity. See, India is a large country of 1.2 billion population. It's a chaotic country. Chaos is the source for many ideas. You can't get many ideas in Singapore because everything is programmed. So we have so many problems to solve. We have so many people. So there is no depth for problems. It can be a small idea, it can be a big idea. Just I will end with giving an example. You know how many people know Red Bus? Okay, good. See, I'll give you the story of Red Bus. I was president of TIE Bangalore chapter. So we came up with a program called Entrepreneurship Acceleration Program. So that when people come with an idea, so we help them with mentoring, incubation and several other things until they get funding from a venture capitalist. So first time program which was conceived by TIE Bangalore. 2 young persons, Funny and his friend came one day and asked me, sir, we have a problem for which we think we have a solution. So what is the problem? They are from Hyderabad, so they want to go to Hyderabad for Diwali. But unfortunately, they couldn't book tickets in advance because they don't know when the project will be completed. They may go, may not go. They are from BITS Pilani. So the project was over 2 days earlier. Obviously they want to go home, and then they started moving to each private bus operator trying to get a ticket to Hyderabad. So then they thought, why is that I have to physically move from operator to operator to get my ticket? So we can't it be computerized, and I have a computer. Many IT people in Bangalore have computers, they travel. Why can't this be done? Okay, it's a good idea. So we get 2 mentors. One is a VC, other is a experienced Wipro guy. So they develop the software so that the bus operators can offer tickets online to the public. So then they went to each one of these operators. Nobody wants to have this software. See, we are a small operator, we don't know IT, we can't manage IT, it's expensive. So all the reasons. So these people were disillusioned. So then one of the 2 mentors told, What is your problem? If they don't want, you offer it as a service. Okay? So that's the turn which took Red Bus. So then they started going to the same operator. You don't have to do anything. You just let us know what tickets you have, how many you want to sell, where you want to sell. We'll put online and we will get you customers. You don't have to pay me anything initially. So it's an offer which you can't refuse. That's how they started. And they were hardworking. They pursued it until it became some 800 crores or so when it got acquired by one of the Middle East companies. There are several companies which came after Red Bus, before Red Bus similar, but they have not made it. So just idea alone is not enough. How you implement idea is also good. You have to have the right business model, you have the right advisors, right mentors, right investors. So many people think idea is great, so just come. No, idea is starting point. The end point is we have a company which hires people, gives jobs, creates value is the company. I'm sure this hackathon will trigger a lot of thoughts in your minds. It is not confined only to boys. I'm happy to see several girls here. In fact, I can tell you, girls make a better entrepreneur than men. So we'd like to see some good companies coming out of this program. And Dr. Monishri is, she's a taskmaster. She's a lady, so she will be having special this one to girls. So one of the problems of girls is they don't want to communicate. They feel shy of it. Now with Monishri, you don't have to. Okay, so please talk to her and see that the program is successful so that the government can take more programs and more support to this activity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for briefing about exciting journey of entrepreneurship and encouraging us. Now, I request Dr. K.V. Srinivasan, Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, to introduce our chief guest, Mr. T.M. Swami, Managing Director, Gauri Shankar Chemicals Private Limited, Tumkur.
Good morning to all of you. I'm happy and privileged to introduce to you one of our chief guests, Mr. T.M. Swami. Mr. T.M. Swami is a chemical engineer, BTech from KREC Surathkal, now called NITK, holding 6th rank to the institute during 1980. He completed his post-graduation at IISc Bangalore in 1982. He is the managing director of Mrs. Gauri Shankar Chemicals Private Limited, an ISO 9001-2008 company, and an EOU established in 1991, which is manufacturing activated carbon having customers worldwide. The unit got National Award during 2009 in Innovation for Best Non-Conventional Products Manufacturer of Coconut Products from Government of India. He is the Executive Committee member of Sri Siddhaganga Education Society and Governing Council member of various professional colleges, including Siddhaganga Institute of Technology. Mr. T.M. Swami is a Honorary Secretary of Indian Red Cross Tumkur District Branch and has served as President of Rotary Tumkur and also as Assistant Governor, as President of Tumkur Management Association and headed SME panel of Confederation of Indian Industry, Karnataka Council in 2012. He is the Chairman IMC Thuruvekere Government ITI and the Government of India PPP program for upgradation of government IITs to make them centers of excellence. He is the Secretary of All India Activated Carbon Manufacturers Association. He has traveled widely and his hobbies include reading, watching movies and traveling. He has married Srimati Pankaja and blessed with 2 sons, Mr. Nitin, who is also a chemical engineer and director of GSPL, and Mr. Naveen, an electronics engineer who is working in US. Both are the alumni of this institute. As the Governing Council member of SIT, he has been helping us on many administrative affairs of this institute. We are really happy, we are indeed happy to have him here with us today. On behalf of the institute, I once again extend to him a very hearty welcome.
Thank you, sir. May I now request guest Mr. T.M. Swami to address the gathering.
I am the odd man on this dais because all of them hold PhDs. But I am the only person who doesn't have that doctorate. I just remembered one thing. There were two people, they were in the jungle. A tiger spotted them and they started running. And just after running for a few yards, one of the first person, he took out his backpack and opened it and took out his sneakers, his sports shoes, and put it on. The other guy saw this and he told, "What are you doing?" "No, I want to run faster." "You are a fool," the other guy told. "How can you run faster than the tiger?" "No, I want to run faster than you." Dr. Murli, Dr. Sridhar Mittal, respected Dr. M.N.C., dear Principal, Dr. Shukumaria, and other dignitaries on the dais, and my dear students. The story which I narrated was not a joke. No, if you want to become an entrepreneur, this is the kind of challenge you will be facing. You have to run, she has to run faster than her, she has to run faster than her. This is how, if you don't run fast, you will be nowhere near success. Usually it was earlier told, a good attitude, exceptional skill, or talent, and top-notch education was sufficient to be a successful man. But nowadays this is not true. Today you need what the earlier speaker also told. You need to have innovative mindset if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. Let me say something about my company. Sir, Mr. You had the opportunity to join Wipro, but I started my career by joining a very small company called K. Sitaramaya Sons Private Limited. But today I don't regret joining that company because I had a very good mentor, the managing director of that company. He was just like a fatherly man to me who guided how to proceed my future goals. When I joined that company, I straight away told him, "Sir, I will be staying with you just for a couple of years. Just I wanted to stay, I need your blessings." So he completely helped me out in designing the equipments. This was one thing which I felt I was lucky. And secondly, sir, I was not lucky like you to have a very good pay scale when you joined Wipro. By starting the company,
It's a small company.
still. But I had to pledge my father's property to start my business. That was again in 90s. So I started this company called Gauri Shankar Chemicals in a very small way. The first year turnover was just a couple of lakhs. But still I made a profit. I am happy to say right from 1991 today, I have made continuously a profit-making company. And not even a single year I have missed the profit. But I was telling about my company. So when I was an undergraduate student at KRSA, I took up a project in third year. At the end of third year, I had a 5 years course. At the end of third year, I took up a project called Manufacture of Activated Carbon. So we had a wonderful guide called Dr. Charlo. So he was a very good mentor and also philosopher. So he told one thing: you have abundant supply of raw material called coconut shell in our area. So why can't you develop a project near your hometown? During that day, I didn't know anything about activated carbon. But again, he got a special grant of 25,000 rupees from government of Karnataka. There was a government undertaking called TechSoft who gave this money to us. Unfortunately, again, we had a lot of our Suratkal alumni in that TechSoft. So this project, which I started in a very small way, today I have a rotary kiln where Innova can go through that. When I started, the rotary kiln was only 1 feet diameter. This is how I started it. But I'll tell you some hard days which I underwent. That is, in the earlier stage of my beginning, you have to sacrifice a lot. You have to sacrifice a lot. There is no other way for that to come out. So the first thing that I did was, I didn't have time in the normal course of time. That is from 8 to 10 o'clock till 10 o'clock in the night. I used to go for the banks, meet people, customers and all those things. My only relief was to get up early. So I cultivated the habit of getting up early. That was one of the plus points which I had, and I could do, in that couple of hours in the morning, I could do a lot of works in the morning. Now coming back to my products. See, most of my products it's exported. See, I told you my product is an activated carbon. It is used in water purification. I tell whenever I see, unfortunately this is not distillery. If the distillery water is there, I tell it is my water that is being treated. And one more thing which my company always insists was, forgive me, yesterday I had a terrible temperature, so I started sweating all over the night, even though it was raining. And I didn't tell anything about this in the morning. Still, I wanted to meet you and convey whatever little I could tell on this day. When you export a product to any other country, unlike a software, you need to be very, very careful in your product quality. So I'll tell you, the cost of this product to repair at the manufacturing stage, it will cost just 1 rupee. By the time this product reaches the pre-dispatch stage, if there is any defective, it will cost 10 rupees. By the time it reaches the customer, and if you want to repair that product, then it will cost 100 rupees. So it is one of the best things that you take care of, that the product is rectified right in the stage of manufacture and not at later stage. Dear students, one more word that is very fond of for me is innovation. In the morning also we saw all the people talking about innovation. In my own industry, there is no thing like set to like, okay, this is the software program, this is the methodology to do that, nothing. So if you go for a rice mill or an oil mill, there is a set of equipments readily available. But for me, I have to design my own equipments, my own marketing strategy, production plan, everything has to be done by myself. I just recall a small joke. A programmer's son was given a basketball to play. The son immediately asked, "Daddy, where is the operation manual for this?" Believe me, if you are an entrepreneur, you will have no operation manual whatsoever for you. Be it for your actual production or marketing or to meet your bankers, you have to create your own operational manuals. By innovation, I mean to say your whole mindset has to change. Just a couple of days back, I was watching this YouTube. I saw this Audi car advertisement. This car has 8 cylinders, and they have introduced a concept called cylinder on demand. That is, as you press the accelerator, only certain engines fire. And this is innovation. And one more video which I saw was a BMW car having an intelligent headlight system. These are very, very simple mechanism, simple programming, which have yielded into dramatic reduction in what we call the accident rates on the road. What does that intelligent lighting do? If an online traffic comes, the light automatically diverts the headlight. This is done on a computer. There is no other mechanism involved. So this is the technology. A couple of years back, I had been to Germany as a member of CIA delegation. There we had the opportunity to visit Mercedes-Benz at Stuttgart. There we saw some cars camouflaged and being driven at very high speed. I asked them, what are these vehicles, why are they camouflaged? They told, these are the cars that are planned to be released 5 years from now. So imagine innovation has been programmed right now for a product release 5 years ahead. So don't think in India we are not planning even for tomorrow. And one more problem with us, especially old people, is we don't have a childlike inquisitiveness. See, I always tell, as you become old or aged, you are a deteriorated child. Just I'll give an example. If you have an elevator, if five small children go with the age of about 5 to 6 years, by the time they reach 5th floor, they will all become friends. But imagine if 5 people go in an elevator. I don't know, if 3 boys and 2 girls go, they may become friends. Imagine all the 5 girls or only 5 boys go in an elevator. They'll just take out their mobile phone, see the message, that's all. They don't even communicate with each other. They don't have that inquisitiveness of, making friendship, knowing knowledge. I advise you, whenever you see a new car, just see what technology it is there. If you see a new medical equipment, see what kind of technology is there. If you are seeing this hall, you see what kind of new technology it is there. Anything. And usually the small things matters a big thing. This is how Chinese do. Once in Pudong airport, a Chinese person was taking photograph of even the chair also. And there are certain Chinese towns where they manufacture the whole town manufactures only scissors. But these are the things, earlier days, Chinese used to just copy things. No, today they have stopped copying things. They are innovators now. Now they design parts for Airbus, Boeing, and even design for Intel chips also. From my own experience, I'll tell you, the first casualty of a new product being introduced or innovated by you is, as our earlier speaker told, failure. Failure happens once, twice, third, 4 times. For me, it happened 4 times. And even my family members told, you come out of this industry, go for a good job and all those things. So this kind of some kind of a distraction will happen to you. Be ready to. Just about last year, Dr. Malshankar, former scientific advisor to the Prime Minister, he was talking at one of the IIT functions. He told about innovation. He's a person who is madly passionate about innovation. He told he was very disgusted about India's attitude towards innovation. just manufacturing cheap products. He told, I in India should not stand for inhibition. I in industry should not stand for imitation. But I in India should stand for innovation. I in every institute should stand for innovation. I in every I should stand for innovation. He told even that whole 1.2 billion population, they don't have just a mouth to feed. They have a brilliant idea, they have a brilliant mind to think. We are not just talking. In India, innovation means you need not have to produce an expensive Airbus part or a space communication satellite. Of course, we are doing that also. But today's India needs innovative products at very low cost. Fellowship. Can you please raise your hand? THIEL Foundation. Madam? Tomorrow, I request Madam to allocate at least 30 minutes to give a presentation by somebody from your side about this Thiel Foundation. Peter Thiel was a college dropout who invented PayPal. Are you aware of PayPal? It's an online payment methodology. He was the first person to introduce 128-bit encryption system on the internet. No, he was, as I told you, he was a college dropout. He became a billionaire in no time because his method of transferring money became one of the safest. Even the banks also started adopting that. After that, he has invested Thiel Fellowship, which is exactly what the government is doing today. What he does is, he selects 20 persons under the age of 20, mentors them for 2 years, gives them $100,000 to see that the project comes viable. Peter Thiel not only is an entrepreneur, he is also a venture capitalist. He wants to make use of his money to see other people become billionaires. I mean, you must be surprised the areas in which the students are selecting their areas under the Thiel Foundations are vast. It is not only engineering. I tell you, it is medical research, software programming, robotics, mechanical design, civil structural innovations, architectural designs, aeronautics, healthcare, green energy, molecular biology, teaching aids, and even fine arts also. You will come across brilliant ideas if you go through that website. The site is thielfellowship.org. I will give you 2 examples of the students who have done this. One is an Indian, Aditya Ganesh, age 17. He is from Texas, but Thiel Foundation is limited to only US citizens. He was a student of undergraduate from Stanford. He dropped out of Stanford. He got the Thiel Foundation. Now he is an entrepreneur at the age of 17. One more is Diwang Singh. I am giving you 2. Inevitably, among the 20 people, 3 to 4 are Indians, Indian origin students. This shows the capacity of Indians to become entrepreneur, not only in college level, I am telling you in the world level. Diwang Singh is a 19 years old fellow. He comes from California. He stepped out of his college. He is from India. His parents are from India. To work on online platform for learning, and he is an exceptional hacker. So these youngsters are just like you. The one thing about entrepreneurship is you should have a tremendous will that you will succeed. I recall the biography of Muhammad Ali, a former boxing world champion. You know, before he became the champion, I mean, before he even went for the first championship match, he was always telling, I am the champion, I am the champion, I am the champion. But he never used to tell, I will win, I may win, I may win, he never used to say. But his will was something that extraordinary. And a newspaper reporter asked him, what is the winning edge you have? Then he told, quote, every day when I go to my practice, I work till my hands cannot be raised any further. Then I think of my opponent, he will also be doing the same thing. But he says, again I will go back to practicing, till again my hand doesn't rise. And the third time, when he cannot rise, he starts going for a shower. And the shower he thinks, what his opponent will be doing. Then again he comes back and does the practice, and he tells, that is my winning edge. So if it doesn't mean that whatever is the success in entrepreneur is doing, if I do only that much, I will be successful. No. You have to do much more than that successful man to become a successful in your life. One more word which I want to coin is, can anybody tell me the difference between excellence and perfection? See, we always try to be perfect. Be perfect, be perfect, be perfect. Excellence is something beyond that. Excellence can be achieved when nobody is watching you. I remember one advertisement of Reebok near an airport which states, how hard you play when no one is watching you. See, when you become an entrepreneur, nobody is watching you. Nobody will tell, just like your father and mother who are seeing that, they will be seeing you how well you are studying. There will be nobody else to see you when you are an entrepreneur. So you are your own God. Only one thing that states how hard you have played is your balance sheet. Again, Michael Jordan, you might have heard about, a basketball player. You know, he is a very one peculiar person. Whenever there is a free basket penalty, he was the person called to put that ball. But whatever is the 3 chances, he never used to miss the 3 chances. Again, a reporter asks him, how you can manage to put all the 3 baskets without any miss all the time? Then he told, after my morning practice, the last thing I do was, I put 100 baskets, let's put the ball in the 100 times in the basket. All the 100 times, the ball should pass through the basket. On the 65th time, for example, if the ball doesn't go inside the basket, again he will count 100, again he will pass the ball till he counts for 100. Now you know what is perfection, what is excellence, the difference between excellence and perfection. I think 2 years back, we had Mr. Vishweshwara Bhatt in one of the functions at SIT. He came for one of our management body meeting. Now, he told a small incident with Mr. Gavaskar. I want to share with you. That's the last thing which I wanted to do. Gavaskar was from a middle class family. He was born in a municipal hospital in Mumbai. When he was just 1 or 2 years old, when Gavaskar's mother was going to be discharged, there was a mix-up of the children. The Gavaskar was missed by some other boy and given to the mother of the Gavaskar. Gavaskar's mother, she knew she had a look at some birthmark on the child. So she argued that the child doesn't belong to her. Then after some time with the discussion with the nurses, they could find out the proper child, and then they gave the mother the proper child. That's Gavaskar. Vishweshwar Bhatt asked one question to Mr. Gavaskar. Had you not been given to your work, you are attending this seminar, whether you become a small entrepreneur or a big entrepreneur, you are going to win. Whether you are catching 100 fish or 1,000 fish, you are going to win. See, most of my children, most of the boys and girls who are studying, they want always to migrate to US or better countries. I have a small note as a final concluding finale I want to finish. There was an ant and a grasshopper. They were neighbors. The ant was a very hard working, and grasshopper was just a fancy boy, just enjoying the life. It was harsh summer. The ant used to collect all the food that was necessary for the winter, keep it in well below the earth, saving it for the winter days. Of course, the winter came. The winter was so severe, neither the ant used to go up or grasshopper was able to go up. The shivering grasshopper calls a press conference and demands to know why the ant should be allowed to in the warm and wet, while the others shiver in the cold. So grasshopper made a big representation to the government. The whole of India stand by the sharp contrast. How this poor grasshopper is allowed to suffer so. NDTV and other newspapers and other news channels showed up and provided the pictures of how pathetic the grasshopper is suffering. Arundhati Roy staged a demonstration in front of the ant's house. Medha Bhatt goes to fasting along with the other grasshopper, demanding that grasshopper be reallocated to warmer climate during winter. Amnesty International and Kofi Annan criticizes the Indian government for not upholding the fundamental rights of the grasshopper. Opposition MPs make a walkout. Lalu Prasad provides a special rath called Grasshopper Rath. Finally, Judicial Committee drafts a Prevention of Terrorism Against Grasshopper (POTAC) with effect from beginning of the winter. Arjun Singh immediately makes special reservations in higher education. The ant is fined. His home is confiscated, and the ant moves to America and became a billionaire. Arundhati Roy calls it a triumph of justice. Lalu calls it socialist justice. CPM calls it revolutionary insurgents. Many years later, the ant going there has become a billionaire. But you need not have to have that kind of a fear now. I'm not a politician. Still, the present government, you have a very lucrative atmosphere in our country, especially for entrepreneurs. Please work hard. You are bound to succeed. And finally, before thanking, I want to say 2 lines which my father used to say. You always see the clouds, at least you will land up on the trees. Just don't see the tree, then you will always land up on the ground. Thank you.
And quoting so many examples of your own life and igniting the spark of entrepreneurship and motivating us to how to run faster than the tiger. May I now request our beloved director, Dr. M. Chandra, to deliver the presidential address.
Respected Chief Guest of the morning program, Dr. Maulishi, Dr. Bitta, Professor Shivkumaraya, Professor Basurajaya, Dr. Srikant Swami, and of course, our pet industrialist, college where I worked for 31 years, that is KRC Suratkal. I always quote his example as to how one can convert his project work, undergraduate project work into a successful industry. I don't have to report much about the entrepreneurship, except to mention that engineers are most suited to become entrepreneurs, because Sir M.V. was telling, if you are an engineer, you are creating a product spending 5 rupees, while some other person who is not would take at least 10 to 15 rupees to produce the same product. So engineers, if you make up your mind, you can always certainly come up with product creation. Product creation, of course, calls for an innovation mind, and innovation certainly calls for a lot of knowledge and contemplation. People say if you want to become an innovator, you have to think out of box. But you should have known what is inside the box. Unless you know that, how can you do something out of it? So it's not an empty mind, but a mind which is cultivated to think and contemplate and determine that you are going to succeed in solving a particular problem. You must have watched our Prime Minister speaking yesterday night. You might have heard of it. And he was, by way of complimenting the engineers and scientists at ISRO, he mentioned through an example. If you go to Baroda, if you want to travel by an auto rickshaw, it would take 10 rupees per kilometer. But do you know what it cost for our Mangalyaan? 7 rupees per kilometer. So this is innovation. I am very happy that experts have come today. Dr. Bitta and Dr. Maulishji, both of them are there, and they would certainly handhold you. I think Rajan and Bhatt are also there to take you forward. I don't have much to add except that our students, boys and girls, will have to make up their minds that they are capable and they can succeed. This is what that is most needed. Some encouragement should come from the college or employers. I think it was Mr. Krish Gopal Krishnan in one of our BITES meetings, he mentioned that the government of Kerala has come forward with some help provided to these people who want to become entrepreneurs. Students, if they want to become entrepreneurs, some encouragement is to be given. And the two things that they have come up with is attendance. 20% attendance could be there if it is 80% for others. For those who are working with entrepreneurship projects, it can be 60%, only those who want to. And even the Morse code, there could be some concession for them, some 2% additional marks could be given to them because they have spent their time on innovation. I do not know whether the government of Karnataka has got some information about this, and they are thinking of giving this encouragement to our students who take to entrepreneurship. This is what that I could just say. And this is not meant for every student in the college, but only those who really make up their mind to become entrepreneurs. Right? Yeah. This is only the information I had, so that I am particularly happy that Mr. T.M. Swami could give you so much information. If only you had allowed him to continue, you would have done it till at least this morning became afternoon. Yes, he is such a voracious reader and collects so many books and items of information. Many a time he gives me some book to read, which I keep still with me unread. Yeah, he is such a person who is highly knowledgeable, and both his sons have been the products of this society itself. And one of them works with him in his company, and his daughter-in-law also, I think, is a product of this institution. She also holds a share, maybe a major share in his company. So all these things, and I think both his sons are good badminton players. They were experts when they were in this college, and they contributed to the success of our sports department. He is, of course, on our governing council as well as the managing committee of Siddhganga Education Society. He is an asset to SIT and, of course, to all entrepreneurs. So you can, I think he didn't give his email. You get it, and whenever you have some doubt, and I think you can refer to him. He could just enthuse you. All those things are there. So this center of hackathon and all those things, that name also I couldn't understand in the beginning. It is nice that Maulishri gave an explanation for that. And this is just a tickling situation where you get enthused and go ahead with preparing for your entrepreneurship. Our students, I think, a large number of them gave presentation the other day. They have in our college what is known as minor projects and major projects. And every department encourages all of them to come up with something innovative in their particularly minor project. And about 30 people out of these innovations, they have filed their patents. Some 30 patents are filed from our college this particular year. And I think many more are willing to come into that particular bracket of having their projects resulting in a situation where that could come up to file some patent. We don't know how many of them will really become fruitful, but the very fact that they are willing to proceed on these lines is that. And believe me, your college provides a lot of support to those who want to really become innovators and entrepreneurs. And that should be the same for all the students that have come from Nitya and other places. Nowadays, I don't know why this particular, what is the title of? Incubation. New Age. What is the significance of New Age? I couldn't make out. Because in America and I think Europe, it is only from 1980 onwards or 1958 or 60 onwards that these incubators have come into being. But New Age belongs to us perhaps now. Because last year we were not all this particular about that. And Karnataka government ITBT, they have taken a lot of interest in promoting this concept. Therefore, it is New Age, and those of you who have watched our Prime Minister's speech, heard, and the kind of enthusiasm that he was able to generate among the Indian people who are there. It was a feast to watch and listen yesterday. I was there for about 1.5 years throughout, and I don't know whether some of you must have watched and enjoyed the whole thing. And he is PM, our PM is a great innovator now. You can't just say anything else. And he was with us in Tumkur the other day, last week. And he also, and he is so proud of Bharat, right? He has mentioned about Bharat, that word Bharat. Instead of India, he always invariably use Bharat. And we have a very big heritage of being a knowledge society. That is his clear statement. There is no question of saying that you have to copy from somebody or something. You have everything, and you just make up your minds, get yourselves involved, and become successful. This is his message, and the message that every one of us will have to work with a lot of confidence. So we are thankful to the experts today, Dr. Maulishji and Dr. Bitta, and Dr. Swami. We have not given the doctorate to him anyway. So he feels grateful to the system that he has not become a doctor. If he were to have become a doctor, he would have been one of the professors in this college perhaps. Yeah, that is avoided. Not that I am denigrating those who have doctorates. And those of us who have doctorates, who are teachers, it is time for us. Our President of India also, he laments sometimes why our colleges and universities are not in the world ranking anywhere else. Because it is my analysis, we have taken things for granted that somebody else is doing everything and we are there to share these points. So let us, every one of us, get involved. And sometimes university also says when you frame a curriculum, you leave something for the student to learn, extra learning for student, self-learning. I appeal to my colleagues often whenever we meet. We expect the students to learn on their own, but self-learning for the teachers, why is it not being talked of? Once I get an MTech or PhD, my learning stops. That should not happen. So there are many people who are from the teaching side. This could also be just taken up as a challenge and see that they really become knowledgeable, and all problems in any educational institutions will get them solved automatically. The discipline and all those problems get solved once the teachers become good learners. With this appeal to everyone concerned, let me just thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to learn quite a few things by attending this inaugural function. Thank you very much.
And which always inspires us and makes us to think in a new direction. I now request Dr. Srikant Swami, Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication, to propose vote of thanks.
Friends, my dear student friends, it gives me immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks on the occasion of the inaugural function of Hackathon and the inauguration of SIT New Age Incubation Center. I profusely thank the chief guest of today's function, T.M. Swami, Managing Director, Gauri Shankar Chemicals, for sharing his experience on his successful journey of entrepreneurship. I thank the guest of honor of today's function, Dr. Sridhar Bitta, founder and managing director of Next 12, for motivating the students on the exciting journey of entrepreneurship. Central Coordinator, NAIM, Department of IT, BT and SIT, for all the cooperation and efforts in making this event a grand success. function and delivering the presidential address. I thank our respected principal, Dr. Shivkumar, for all his guidance in making necessary arrangements for the two-day workshop. I thank Dr. Basavaraja, Dean Planning and Development, who is a guiding force for conducting all such activities in the institute. I thank all the for their cooperation. I thank all the heads of the department for attending the inaugural function and motivating the students to attend the hackathon function. I thank all the student participants for participating in large numbers, without whom the event would not have been a success. I finally thank the warden and his team for making all the arrangements for the accommodation and food.
I request Vinay and team to begin the national anthem.
भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाता जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
expensive. Initially I ignored it, but it was just 800 rupees. So took that course for 8 days. Unfortunately, they didn't teach anything about robotics for the period of 8 days, but we got this spirit of solving the problems in robotics actually. So we heard this word, the cool tech word robotics, and started exploring what is it all about. So then suddenly what happened, we started going through all these engineering colleges tech fest. Even SIT has got something called Technetium, I guess. So what they do is build to the industry stuff done us. So we thought let's give a shot. Went to some 3-4 colleges and nothing well happened. We made huge bulky robots go there, but everyone was building small ones, and then we happened to meet a lot of them and understood the way how we should tackle the problem. So basically we didn't take any sort of courses. We were solving it by intuition, one by one. So then after 4, we started participating in IITs, NITs, and wherever you go, we started either becoming winners or runner-up. So we made quite some decent money, some 70 to 80,000 that time. And one day, all of our friends are having some chats in the evening, and suddenly in front of us, there was some high-rise building where student and fond of robotics. I thought, why should we get people to clean this, dangerous, to do this dangerous task? Why don't we build a robot to solve this problem? So then we thought, okay, let's join together and start a company. And this was 2009, 2010, where all this Facebook, Apple, everyone had got jazzed up, a lot of $1 million funding, but they were into internet business. So we thought, something we can do with the tech. So robotics is what? Robotics had become a huge passion in my life, and I wanted to convert it to profession so that for the next 5 to 10 years I can continue building robots. So then we built this stuff in a span of 2 days. So basically you can see it's attached to the vertical glass and it's cleaning the glass actually. So it was one of the, the best idea at that time, and everyone thought, oh, it has got huge potential and a lot of things can be done with it. So initially I was participating in robotics competitions, right? That was all fine, but now I wanted to get into serious business. I don't know why. I'm a Shetty basically, so maybe that made me to get into business. So I took this product. Frankly speaking, I didn't have any serious, agenda of raising investment or writing a B plan. I had an idea. I thought, let's go give it a shot, get the feedback from them, because they would have seen the marketing in a much better way. So B plan became a plan B. So started applying in each and every B plan competitions, and then they had all these sections, market survey, then how much money you need, how much you will generate in the company, doing all those things. But tomorrow, end of the day, you will realize how beneficiary this course is because they are going to teach you on those lines, how to build up your business plan. All these ideas, what are you put in that box, I don't know whether sir calls it as a dustbin or I don't know.
Idea box.
Idea box, okay. So it's not about idea, it's all about execution, which you are going to realize tomorrow. So all these are a few list of competitions that we won with taking that robot and B plan, and we won around 3.2 lakhs. This was in second year. We had a lot of cash with us. And what we thought, I mean, let's get serious. People are putting in money, institutions are giving in money, why don't we give it a shot? And we all know, being in BTU, how far we study every day, right? How many of you will agree with me? Doesn't know tech in your team, still respect him because he is going to one who is going to earn bread and butter for you. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Yes or no? Yes. So there are a lot of incubators. I think one of the initiative of having this hackathon also is to build incubator in the communication. So what basically these incubators do is take all your ideas, little bit reduce the struggle of the initial days. They make you meet a lot of investors, they make you meet a lot of mentors, they make you meet public customers, and they also maybe give you some money to test your idea. So, and they also give you office space, they give you internet, they give you system, and you get to meet a lot of co-working teams and try to exchange the talent. A lot of things are happening. There's one that is doing wonders in this category. There's a incubator called Startup Village. How many of you know about Startup Village by any chance?
Kerala.
Kerala, yeah.
How does it do that? Because you are floating horizontal, your keys are in a semicircle over there. How does it go and hit it onto a straight line? Okay, the next and the most important is airplane. Everybody thinks that airplane was invented by Wright brothers, and you are absolutely right. But did Wright brothers make money out of their invention? Again, another German company called Delac built the world's first commercial airline in 1930. Why am I telling you this point? It's very nice to feel yourself as an inventor, right? Maybe you will go in the history books as an inventor of something. But this is not an invention class. This is not a science and technology appreciation session that we are having here. We are having here is a session on how do we all agree that rich, famous and successful, or that to have what? Does the story here, does it mean that all inventors or all innovators are doomed for failure and somebody else just takes up this idea? No. Okay, World Wide Web, by the way, Tim Berners-Lee could have made billions of dollars in his life if he had patented the HTML. Okay, he didn't do that. He offered it to the world as free, and then people like Mark Anderson with their Netscape browsers made millions out of that World Wide Web opportunity. Famous quiz. Okay, who invented electricity? Who's it? Is it? Am I wrong? Am I crazy? By the way, it's a wrong question if I were really to rephrase it. Is it electricity that he invented? Can electricity be invented? He invented something called as alternating current. He could transmit electricity and transmit it over transmission lines, if I am not mistaken, that's right. But Thomas Alva Edison also famously started a company called General Electric. General Electric is still a company which makes, maybe I don't know if Thomas Alva Edison and his family owned stakes in that, I am not so sure about that. But he also was not only a great inventor, but also a great business guy. He made business out of his invention. Who's this gentleman? Professor Amarendra Bose, famous for Bose audio systems, inventor. What did he do? Another thing famously is donated $600 million worth of stake in Bose to his alma mater MIT. Okay, so MIT now technically owns the Bose Corporation. Okay, the guy who invents also creates wealth, and not only creates wealth, returns the wealth back to his institution. Now that's the story that everybody should like. And last and not the least is my famous George Eastman Kodak. Okay, inventor of photography and also the founder of Kodak. What has happened with Kodak now? What has happened with Kodak? Famous. Chapter 11 case. Chapter 11 case means it's up for sale. So what went wrong with Kodak? What went wrong with Kodak? Everybody knows Kodak, right? We used to make those films and click and then go to the studio, get it clean and then positives. What happened? What replaced Kodak? Digital photography, right? Digital photography. By the way, who invented digital photography?
Problems into 6 parts. One is food security, which includes agricultural reformation, and the second one is that we really think the standards of education should be improved. Only IITs and NITs have the best standards, and the other colleges do not actually have the exact way students should be educated to lead a better life. And then we need to have a clean political system. Indian politics is a major problem, but then nobody does anything to do takes a step ahead to improve on it. And the next one is we need to revolutionize the bureaucracy system in India we have. We say pollution is a problem, but pollution is not the problem. We have pollution control board in India, but that is not working properly. So if we revolutionize the whole bureaucracy, we have employment, we have clean India, we have a better India forward. Then job security, we need to create employments and work in India and create more employments for Indians rather than going abroad or something. And then infrastructure, which includes sanitation, shelter and other roadways, railways or airways, whatever, to make it a developed nation. Thank you.
Come. I will give you keywords. The employment is a very big problem in India. As the population is growing up, and that's another main problem we have. Population, and as she told, it's corruption. We need to have a clean law system. That's the biggest problem. I think that what we do is only talk. We don't do anything. The people are the biggest problem of India because we only sit and listen and talk. We don't act. Okay, and waste management and production, waste management, and health monitoring system. As we know, the sanitation is not quite good in our country. It's quite poor. We depend on medicines for different countries. I think that's another big problem.
By this time, most of you have addressed the problems like pollution, garbage and all. What I say, like, we have one more problem called centralized patient system. Like if I go to one hospital, I'm not sure that if I go to the next hospital, my database will be there. This you find in each and every hospital. So this is one of the basic problems because any one of you, I'm sorry, any one of you can be a patient tomorrow or by this 24 hours. I don't mean by my heart, but we should have a centralized database management system. If I go to some X hospital, okay, my record should be there. If I go to Y hospital, my record should be there. But this sort of system is still lacking in India. And if we try to do it, the things will be much easier. All the health systems we have, though it is technically developing, but yeah, it has some minor efforts also. So this is my point of view of, or you can say right now I'm representing my college, it's our point of view what we think that we should do.
I think one problem which is very, very high on everybody's agenda is jobs. How do we keep on? It is a huge solution. 3 years back, my company funded a young entrepreneur by the name of Rajiv Kher, who came up with this fantastic idea of building portable toilets. Now the first impression that comes to your mind is, how does toilet make any business sense at all? Do toilets make business sense? Yes or no? Yes. Toilets.
Will you be able to do that? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Tell me one great idea how you can monetize toilets.
And then we have a better sales approach, so that our banking schemes get more sales and revenues to the banks.
Given the first chance that they had to come and do it, they identified 4 problems. They said in banking, if India needs to have better banking infrastructure, what are the 4 problems that we have? We believe that the current banking software is not that good, so we may actually end up building a business now, a better banking. So physical infrastructure is not conducive for good business, so we see an opportunity in building more smarter banks, probably more ATMs, more touch screens, more places where you can have automated information rather than people available. So so we'll build some smarter banks, right? So I'm just trying to encapsulate their thoughts as words over here, and I do it for all the groups. People in the rural areas don't have access to banking, so we will do some marketing thrust, we will do some marketing program for getting into rural banking. And the last one, they are saying that banks need more smarter sales people to go out and sell their products. So we see a great opportunity in forming a sales and training opportunity for the bank. They are not, or some service around this bank. Correct me if I am wrong, right? Okay, good. Thank you so much. I have put a perspective and I am trying to keep building this perspective for every group that is going to make a presentation. So come out, speak very freely about what is there in your mind. Let me capture it and put it out over here, and then we'll decide.
And we have got 3 proposals with our, we call it as opportunities in healthcare division. So the first one is centralized patient monitoring system, and the other one is centralized doctors monitoring system, and the other one is self-helping devices for disabled. So the first one, I'm going to explain this one, the opportunity what we have. Nowadays we are approaching this problem that each patient not getting the perfect medicines, and availability of medicine is poor in localities like remote places and all. So our first idea, the centralized patient monitoring system, which is we know this other cards and other cards and all. So it contains the biometric details of an individual and all. So in our idea, a smart card which contains every details of an individual from his birth to all the diseases or what health checkups he had. Every document will be listed in that document in a cloud system, and that will be available all over India. So whenever he wants to get some medicines or get to any doctor or any places, for example, let us consider a patient is living in Tumkur and he is transferred to some places like Chitradurga or Gauri. It will be changed by the time. So if we have this system, he might know what the prescriptions the previous doctor has given, and that could lead in the normal range of the medicines he had. And we have one more concept with this title. It is called as ATM. What we have right now, we swipe the card and we'll get the money. Like that, we'll swipe the card and we'll get the medicine everywhere. For example, we don't have 24-hour medicines all over the city and all. So that's the main motto of this topic. And next topic, my friend is going to deliver.
The next idea is the centralized doctor appraisal system. Like imagine going to a big hospital, somewhat like say Fortis in Madras. You might be asking around the compounder and just be frank. I mean, it might be a hectic job to do that. So why not we have a centralized system in which the doctor's work experience and even his field of specialization is mentioned, so that you get the right doctor for your disease. That might give us quite a good help in knowing that this is the right doctor and getting the right treatment for myself. It's a very simple system.
Health device for disabled. We in India actually always go with the stats. Okay, I'll put our stat in front of you. According to census 2004, 2.60 crore population of India was disabled. Now, according to the census 2011, 2.63 crore population of India was disabled. Now, the third stat, that is World Bank stat, 90 million population of India is disabled. So, we have come with a device called self-held device. If we go to a hospital which manages people who does not have limbs, who does not have hands, so what we have to do, we have to keep each person in order to monitor that person, in order to help that person. But if we use that device, that is self-held device, that requirement of that extra person in order to take care of that disabled person can be removed. Suppose, and all those 90 million people who are dependent on other people, this thing will be avoided if we use this kind of device. So that is our third proposal, that is self-held device for disabled.
We have listed 4 problems in the education sector, and the first one is the gap between industries and the current education system. We all know that there is a huge gap between the skills required for the industries and the education system which we are provided by the institutions. So, and if we take an example of engineering colleges, we have 6 theory subjects and 2 practical subjects. In those 2 practical subjects, we will be doing around 10 to 15 practical experiments. But that practical hand is not sufficient. It's not sufficient for the industries. So we have to train the students about the aspects required for the industry. Then they'll be able to perform well in industries. So that's why there is a need to bridge the gap between the industries and the engineering colleges. Some of the aspects are we should conduct workshops on microcontrollers, robotics, artificial intelligence, and PCB designing like that. And we can make business out of it. As a student, I have already conducted a workshop for my juniors on microcontrollers and robotics. For 120 students, we have conducted a workshop a few days back, and that's how we can solve one problem. The next problem will be explained by my friend.
Okay, myself Mohammed Shoaib. I'm from JMC, and my concern is about the education for the rural people. Okay. The first concern is the education for the rural women for living a hygienic environment. Like example like sanitation, you can gain a profit by getting funding from the government schemes that are involved in this machine. Okay. And then to increase the hidden talents of the rural people and to help them to become an entrepreneur. Okay. But then we can market their products in the national and international markets, and we will become an interpreters for the products which are going produced by themselves and for the market. And third one is giving the education for the farmers to produce what type of products need for this current situation. Next.
One of the problems which I have listed is the major problem in current education system is we are unable to identify our excellence. That is the field in which we are expertise. Okay, so because of that we are wasting our time, lack of time, lot of time. For example, we will take an example of doctor. Doctor will when he is decided to go for doctorate doctor education, why need to learn the integration and differentiation and all? Why to waste that 2 years? So it will be we can eliminate those subjects. So that in which subject, in which area he is excellent, he has his one talent, we can just make polish on that knowledge only. So many things which we learned in our formal education, we are not going to implement or we are not going to use that one. So we are for solution. One of the solution for this problem is that we evaluate the students at higher schools, that is for 8th standard or 9th standard itself, and identifying the area of excellence. So that we are making them, we are providing them education in that field only, and then we are concerning them to referring them to the particular industry or particular hospital or like that. So like this, we can take money from the students also and also from those companies or industries. So we can earn a lot of money from those both of the candidates. That's it.
A logo Pinnaruchi, that means everyone has his own personal interest, right? For example, I'm a hardcore mechanical engineer and I have my passion of engineering. But I love to coding also. I use Eclipse to code for Android applications. But during those periods, what I got to the problem is that while coding, I use this internet, that software is called Stack Overflow. You might have known that. In that, you will get coding for anything you want, any specific things you will get coding. But how to integrate those coding in the software, that's very difficult. That someone needs to teach you, right? So my idea is quite simple: to make an application, just like a matrimonial application or something like that. What it does is, for example, you need to do some specific course. For example, you need to learn a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino system, or how to use it and how to integrate it, and how to write programming, all those things. You will ask through that software for someone, so that can I learn? Do you have any teachers so that he can teach us how to use a Raspberry Pi? And all the teachers or resource person, he will be uploading his profile. That I know Raspberry Pi, I know MS430, Arduino, all those things. We will match you so that he will come to you and he will teach you about the particular problem you are facing. So that it's just like a matrimonial system, we will make money to learn in the middle. And how idea is different from existing. For example, the problem I only suffered was in Stack Overflow, you will get all the codings in C, C++, or Java, Eclipse, Python, whatever it may be. You will get all the codings in that web address, but you don't know how to integrate. You don't know where to paste that program, cutting and pasting. Most of the Android applications, what they do is they just cut and paste a program, but where to paste is the biggest problem we will face. So that we need a middleman to teach us during the initial stage. That initial stage teaching will be provided us through this software. That's my idea.
Okay, thank you one and all. I am Vikas Kumar from NIE. The field which we got was governance. So we thought of some 3 problems which we can solve and create it to a business. First is, presently in India, we have various types of identity cards, like voter ID, then PAN card, then DL and all. Just imagine all these cards, if we club into a single card, won't it be a better deal? Also, it will prevent the excessive cost of those cards and all, which we go on applying for each year like that. The next, like there are various types. In this field, government has failed. Like, let me tell you, 9% of the total population of India, 1.2 billion people, pay taxes. I mean, if I'm not wrong, in this field, government officials has failed miserably. So what we are going to do is, no offense guys, we are going to collect taxes. We will have a private company which will take this job from the government. We will do it for them, like collecting taxes from them. If with a guarantee that will increase this 2.89% to a greater value. Say even if we do it for 5%, I mean that's a huge lot amount of money.
I love complaining. Say I complain that my teacher doesn't teach well, and I want to scold her right on her face, but I can't because I study in an autonomous institution. Even single marks, like I need to be very good to the teachers in order to survive in my college. So what our college has come up with one system is called the review system for teachers, which is not shared with them. So what it is we get a platform online to rate them on various aspects and all. And we have something called as a class committee meeting, which usually occurs. I think it will be there in almost all the colleges, but I'm just stating my example. And what it does is, it helps us, improve where teachers are lacking. Say, these concepts are not explained properly, so the main management can, correct the teachers, and the overall productivity of what teachers are meant to do, teach properly, can be improved. So same thing, same system, I'm just going to take it to ministers. We have complaints, say, bad roads, bad infrastructure, everything okay, that is like leaking. So what we do is, we create a review system for MLAs or any ministers in that case. What they have to do is, people of that constituency will be given a platform where they can rate their MLAs on different parameters. Some are general, like electricity and all, and some are specific, area specific. And there's a separate link. What we would think is like, for this special suggestions, there will be a suggestion box which will all be centrally collected and given to the government. This will be, like a database on how efficiently a minister is working. It's not just that minister is paid to do his job, minister is paid, to do his job properly. So it's like an outcome-based system, not just anything. So what this improve will ultimately governance much as if the officials are they can't do anything they want. They will be on hooks, and ultimately this will lead to better governance, and it will help in better connectivity with the people and the government. That's my point.
Okay. That there have been no cases of this. Let me share some of the quick thoughts that we have. I was having a quick look at the JNNC last one, which is a skill matching program, and he said that I have X skills, somebody has Y skills, and a third person wants to find out how do I connect with them and do I do that. We are already evaluating a very strong company in Mumbai called as eSkillServe, which basically looks at the same domain where people can come. But of course their market size is very, very large. They are saying that plumbers, electricians, teachers, if you are a maths teacher, if you are a nail artist, if you are a tattoo artist, okay, so any person with any kind of skills can come and put their skills over there, and then they are going to go to a whole lot of organizations who are going to be requiring the skills, people's individuals. So you could be a consumer at one end and you could be a service provider. How many of you know of a product called as Help Out? Google is soon launching, it's been launched globally, a product called as Help Out, and probably a course put together, okay, in which any individual with any skill can log in, create his or her own training program, and of course you have to share the revenue. So suddenly the world, what we are thinking, doesn't have enough good maths teacher. You will find out there are 1 million people who can teach maths and available online on Google. And this is all going to be available for exotic programming language on Python or something like that, I don't know. Then you